All right, how's it going, my magnificent sons of bitches? And I'm back again because I wanted to go ahead and do a video. This is on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and this is not going to be a very long video because I don't really have a lot to offer on this subject. I don't care about a Little Mermaid movie at all, you know? And probably the most I've heard about it is people complaining either that it's getting ratioed, rightfully so, or that you know, that it's about skin color. Yeah, and one thing that first off everybody has to understand is that Disney doesn't no longer have these liberties. They don't have these liberties. Somebody needs to take Disney by the hand and say, "Look, you need to shut your goddamn mouth," and that's it. Stop. You're not allowed, no longer allowed, to go ahead and share your political opinions on the big screen anymore. Somebody needs to sit down and tell everybody at Disney that. I don't care if it's a six-figure CEO or whatever the hell, because they've killed their reputation over the past year, and actually, they've been proceeding to kill their reputation probably for I'd say about 4 or 5 years. And so this is exactly why nobody respects anybody that's on the left. I mean, this is why the left gets no respect, particularly on independent sites. Now, in their little social circles and stuff like that, they're seen as somehow these great philosophers. They're not. You're not a philosopher, all right? They're seen as these intellectual experts. They have some sort of generic degree in liberal studies that in academia somewhere where they go out and they proclaim to be all these great men of the minds. They just assume the title. And this is ultimately where we're at in society today. So what you have is like the Little Mermaid comes out. I think the girl's name playing her is Haley Bailey. Now, I have nothing against the girl. I don't care one way or the other. You know, as somebody who would not care to see the Little Mermaid, I feel the same way about the Little Mermaid as I do Star Wars. I defer to the Star Wars fan. If the Star Wars fan is outraged by the product on there, doesn't really matter if I like the show or not. I'm going to go ahead and defer to the better judgment of the Star Wars fans because they know their product. You know what I'm saying? That's their target. I'm not the Star Wars target audience. I'm also not the target audience for The Little Mermaid. So I go and look up and see what the like to dislike ratio was on the trailer. And holy shit, it was the same thing with Ghostbusters. Ironically, Melissa McCarthy is playing Ursula. So this is kind of a trend. I get it. Melissa McCarthy, for me, is absolutely the most overrated female actress, out there because it's like all her dialogue and all her roles are kind of tacky and it's kind of like forced in there and she's pushed in to be this uh it's them trying to make Melissa McCarthy be like, say, a Jack Black or a Zach Galifianakis or somebody like that, and it just doesn't work for the female characters and whatnot. It just she just comes off as annoying and petty. So this is one of the reasons why it's like even if I had any kind of like a modicum of interest, I probably wouldn't watch it just because of Melissa McCarthy. It has nothing to do with the Little Mermaid in and of herself. I wouldn't care. With this being said, is that Disney no longer has this luxury. Whenever you've killed brands like Star Wars, you've spent years, you know, coming out, you put all this money into Star Wars, and this just shows you how leftism, wokeism, how this whacktivism that you implement inside these and give these people this platform, give these people places, and it's no different than here on the social media. The same people that are sitting there making decisions at Disney are the same ones pretending to go ahead and be the metric for what should qualify to be censored and not censored on the internet. And if they didn't have double standards, they'd have no standards at all. So what you have is Disney killing these franchise with their activism, wokeism, bullshit, and whatnot. They refuse to tell a good story anymore. They're doing the same thing with the MCU. You look at She-Hulk, you look at um, Falcon and Winter Soldier. You look at Black Widow movie and all of the wokeism that they're trying to incorporate into these movies because their ideology is failing. Whenever you sit there and you have to, live off of labels for so long, eventually people grow tired of it. People grow annoyed with it. With your BLM, with your LGBTQ, doesn't really matter with whatever fucking wokeism that you choose, people are going to get tired of it. Do you have more to offer than just the color of your skin? Do you have more to offer than just your sexual preference? Nobody cares. Do you have more to offer than your gender? You know what I'm saying? Than just being a woman or being a fucking multi-gender or whatever the fuck you're trying to. I mean, it's so fucking anthropic right now. Nobody can go ahead and get behind it. No sane, rational, cognitive person can go ahead and get behind this stuff. So you take that in consideration, right? Everybody's like, oh, well, it's just you're not being fair. No, we've given these people opportunities to go ahead and unfuck themselves, as I'd like to sit there and say, and you refuse to. You just double down. You're like, it's your bigotry. It's your bigotry. It has nothing to do with me. It's all you. Everybody in the world's fucking bigot. Everybody, the 1.8 million people who dislike this video, they're all clearly bigots that marginalized few that are like, oh, well, we need to go ahead and deliver another woke message. They're not bigots for not listening to you, for censoring your speech. You're the bigot. You know what I'm saying? For coming out and addressing this and pointing out their flaws. That makes you the bigot. That doesn't make them the bigot. See, they refuse to change. Clearly, they have double standards. Everything that they say is projection at this point. Everybody can reasonably sit there and say that everything that you're calling everybody else could easily be attributed to you, more so than it is for everybody else. So, you take this in consideration. You take Disney's deal with ESPN and the way that they set up with the SEC network and the way that they've done with, say, college sports right now, with the NFL, with these sports, when they're taking the knees, when they're doing all this woke bullshit, they're implementing these ridiculous national anthems and stuff like that. Ever since Disney and ESPN started to get more involved and make deals with these sports and buy these certain networks and stuff, college football. Hell, you look at the season rankings every year. It's all done for Florida, the SEC, which is mainly Florida, and that section, and the ACC, which is still Florida. And you could sit there and look at it and say that this, doesn't look right. The system's not balanced in these sports. You know, teams get more favoritism, teams get more calls. The sports look scripted. It looks more like it's a fucking ballet than it does an actual sport anymore. It looks overly choreographed, and ultimately, people have less interest in that. It's the same thing with the wrestling product. Everything. This is what Disney does. This is what Disney does. Everything is now superficial. So they've ruined the franchise of Star Wars. They're having to go back on that. They had a little bit of success, but they pretty much ultimately ruined that franchise. They're ruining the MCU with the She-Hulk and the wokeism that they're putting out there, even in Doctor Strange and various. And I like Doctor Strange, but it was still had a lot of wokeism. People get tired of it. People get tired of you lecturing at everybody. You take that and then you go with the Florida Parents' Right to Education bill that the fucking Hollywood elitist, out of touch motherfuckers, the journalist, as I like to sit there and call them, in the media, and the leftist in Hollywood, and all the cucks in DC sit there and call, "Don't say gay bill." Parents have a right to their kids' education. And they, if there is something wrong, then they can certainly sit there and say, well, we don't want CTR, and we don't want them talking about uh, sexual proclivities towards, elementary school kids. That should be okay. There should be nothing wrong with it. That should be the dumbest thing that the left could attack, but they double down on it. Then you got Disney going out there making threats, saying that they're going to put their foot down and they're going to run this campaign against the parents. And you mind you that this is your target audience. You have been targeting your target audience. You've been lecturing them. You've been out of touch. You don't have, you're just, you're in your little echo chambers, and you think that you're reasonably intelligent, but this isn't the case. Well, effectively, this is what the ratioed Little Mermaid. This is the culmination of all of that. This is the culmination of you taking all of your, out of touch whacktivists that you've given positions of power to. This is the same thing here, especially here on YouTube. With it being here on YouTube, you're not going to get anybody to get any interest into this. For the most part, the YouTubers market off of your failures anyways. If I'm going to create a channel, I'm certainly not going to create a channel mocking whatever the mainstream media says. Why would I do that? That wouldn't make any sense. I would perform some sort of alternative. This is why it's called social media. This is why it's called an independent. This is why it's called alternative media. This is an alternative to mainstream media. So why would I just sit there and mimic everything that the mainstream media said on an alternative media platform? I'd do my own research, and then I would put out the facts that are neglected and most of the time on mainstream media. Y'all have lost y'all's credibility. It is no fault of mine. You decide to push this media, you decide to push this news, and nobody cares anymore. So Disney is basically going to eat this one too. They're going to, then there's no telling. I looked at some of it. Some of the CGI looked pretty decent. First off, the trailer looked like trash anyways. Certainly, whatever come on, it looked like something Omden. It's like a fucking Batman movie or something. And it's like, it gave you kind of like a creepy fucking feel. And then, so you didn't set up the trailer really great. It just, I don't even know what they were doing. And then, you decide to do the race swap thing. Well, nothing personal. I'm not a big Mermaid fan, so but ultimately it wouldn't really kill me one way or the other if they did a race swap for the Little Mermaid, but because I'm not a fan. However, like if they did the race swap thing with Superman, I would get it. I'd probably feel like this is petty. There are other great black characters that you could use to go ahead and bring out instead of doing a race swap that's going to be cheap and petty. It just makes you look desperate, to be honest with you. So I get it from that perspective. Is there not some other kind of, character that you could have bought out, movie that you could do, get some more interest in? Did you have to race swap the Little Mermaid? Is that how cheap Disney is? Is that we got to go ahead and just race swap things? Like I said, I don't care because I don't know how much of a thing it is for the Little Mermaid. Superman, he's, been a white guy for what, Little Mermaid maybe a little bit different. But like I said, I defer to the Little Mermaid fans and that follow the Little Mermaid and understand that mythos. Out of respect to them, I'm not going to have an opinion one way or the other because I honestly don't care about the product. It's not meant for me. I'm not the target audience, So, ultimately I wouldn't care one way or the other because, but it's not targeted towards me. If the fans tell you that they're not going to go see it because of, say, whatever it is, wokeism pretty much. Like I said, it's Disney killing themselves. That's what it is. It's Disney killing themselves slowly. It's not just this movie. It's a history of shit that you've done over the span of probably a decade, if not longer, of killing products. And people are ultimately getting tired of it. And ultimately, it is time for Disney to have these succession of failures because they've gotten far too much power as far as like the entertainment industry, and they've gotten far too much control. So, anyways, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. I just wanted to go ahead and do a video response because a lot of people seem to be confused on why it's getting so much hate. Like I said, it's a culmination of things. The video conference of the activists that Disney have hired to go ahead and make decisions and to put the woke product out for Disney, being leaked, kind of ultimately killed any kind of position or credibility of Disney being able to go ahead and push any of their narratives or agendas for any kind of globalist bullshit that people are trying to push. They've kind of killed their credibility. It's already been stated. Everybody already knows. It's not a, what do you call, conspiracy theory anymore. They admit it. We have them, making these claims. So, whenever you look at the gay agenda in Thor: Love and Thunder, or you look at it in Doctor Strange, the, two moms and stuff like that in Doctor Strange, and you see all the wokeism, and people don't like that. People are getting fed up with it. So I meant, ultimately, yeah, Disney has, ultimately taken themselves out of being able to deliver any of these messages from the left. They killed their own credibility. It has nothing to do with anybody else. Everybody else is just pointing it out and laughing at them at this point in time. So yeah, about 10 or 12 years ago, this probably could have worked. Well, I say about 15 years ago, it probably could have worked. You would have had a little bit more interest in it. I think people would probably have went out and been more willing to go see it. Say if it was Jada Pickett. And this isn't saying that Halle Bailey isn't talented. I don't know. I don't watch any of her shit. She very well could be. But say if it would have been, Jada Pickett or Halle Berry back in, like I said, the 2000s, like, 2005, 2006, I guarantee you that people would be interested in going to see it. But since they've killed a lot of the momentum and pushing these products like this, and using these simple tactics to try and, guilt people into watching shitty products, it doesn't work anymore. And so, yeah, this is why it's getting a lot of heat. This is why it's probably going to end up doing the same as Lightyear, pretty much. And it's just Disney pouring money right down the drain based on the people that they've put in charge. And, it's not only Disney, it's various other companies that have just basically sold out to the establishment hacks who, probably have a very, very short shelf life from what I'm seeing right now all over the internet, not just on any particular site. I'm just talking about, it's just, you look at society and the position that we're in, and it's not going to be able to sustain going this direction. It's just not going to be able to sustain itself for too much longer. So, anyways, I want to go ahead and wrap this video up. I just wanted to do a video on the little woke ass mermaid thing that's going on. I wanted to give my 2 cents. I'll probably do an A&W wrestling ratings video, but I've got to do that on Mobizen. So what I'll probably do is I'll record it, Mobizen, show some videos, read some articles, and then I'll upload it here. Make sure it goes into all the sites. I don't know about what time I'll upload it, but I'll upload it sometime. So yeah, I just wanted to do a really quick video on this one because this seems to be something that people are trying to make a topic. To me, it's not that big of a deal. I think that people ought to be more worried about what's going on economically, what they're trying to do with these bills and trying to go ahead and attack Second Amendments. That's stuff that's going to affect you. Little Mermaid doesn't affect people, but I understand it. People will get butthurt about it. They'll tell you all kinds of shit, but it's a placebo. All the arguments to the contrary of why it's getting ratioed is a placebo. You know exactly why it's getting ratioed. It's this, you've built this up. This is, they've built this heat up on themselves for years. Now you got the heat. Now what are you going to do with it? So anyways, you people tell me what you think. You like, sub, do the shit YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, follow, whatever the hell friend tells me to do to get over, and I'm out.